Three, two, one. This is Nick.
And this is Amanda.
And this is the Performance Plate Podcast, where we give you bite-sized bits of information based on nutrition and exercise science to improve your overall performance. Welcome back to another episode of the Performance Plate Podcast. And before we get into today's topic, if you like what you hear and enjoy what Amanda and I talk about on our podcast, please like, subscribe. It's very simple. Just click the button in the top left corner and tell your friends about us so we can keep growing the pod and keep doing this for you, everybody, to keep listening to what we consider this wonderful podcast.
Yes, we appreciate you guys.
Yes. And the topic for today is going to be traveling with an injury. So let's start with a question, as always. I don't know, Amanda, have you had to travel with anything that stressed you out injury wise? Like you couldn't sit for long periods of time, or you couldn't do this and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to make it work?
Honestly, I knew you were going to ask me that, and I should have thought about it more beforehand. I really haven't, knock on wood, haven't had that many injuries.
Mm-hmm. That is good. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah, one time I had this weird toe thing happen where my foot swelled up, and I had to get an MRI done, and apparently strep had moved to my foot.
Solid. Nice.
Yeah, so they had to stick this big needle in it and drain it out. It was the craziest thing to watch. But I was wearing this weird, ugly boot that looked like I was a 90-year-old in a hospital.
Nice. That's
it was only for a day, and yeah, I don't have a good answer to this question. What about you?
Well, I've had to travel places where my back was not right. And that's hard when you're driving's a little bit easier. On a plane, it's not so easy, but it's still doable. So yeah, definitely my back sometimes gets flared up just from doing all the crazy things I do. And then driving, I struggle with, because sitting in that position for long periods of time, I get some symptoms down my leg. So if I'm driving, I usually just pull over and then kind of shake it out, If I'm on a plane, I get up and walk up and down the aisle real quick, just to make a change. That's what it really is. So that's kind of going to lead us into how to help yourself when you have an injury while traveling, we'll say, or something that seems to limit your ability to travel. Like some people will cancel their plans, and that's fine too. If you really don't figure out a way to cancel that you can do this, then that's okay too. But personally, I don't like when people cancel their plans because of an injury, because I'm like, we can figure this out. Let's talk this through. It's almost like you when you coach people through how to go on vacation and their nutrition and all that.
Yeah.
How do you succeed? How can we make this successful? So if you do have a vacation coming up and you have, let's say, lower back pain, hip pain, knee pain, all these things that can bother you, even neck pain, that can bother you during a trip and traveling, you want to, one, have a list of things that so talk to either your therapist, even reach out, even if you have a trip coming up and something's been feeling good, but what if it flares up? Reach out to your therapist again and just email them, text them, whatever it is. Say, hey, I'm going on these trips. Is there anything I should do? Because they'll most likely remember what exercises made the biggest change for you. And they'll say, hey, do these 2 or 3. Because you want to have what I call an out sometimes. And what that to me means, and to people means, I have an out that can calm my brain down from the symptoms I'm feeling. So let's say you have trouble sitting for long periods of time and your back flares up, your knee starts bothering you, your hip starts bothering you, whatever that may be. What's something you can do? Now, if you notice just standing up and moving real quick helps, then go ahead and do that. On a plane, yes, obviously you can't do it during takeoff or landing, so that may not be the most ideal situation. So you may have to find other things that may help, like doing what's known as pelvic tilts, like rocking your pelvis back and forth. Maybe that'll help give you some type of relief, because a lot of times we get caught up and we start getting down that terrible feeling.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
I like this because it's kind of like when you're in this state of stress or anxiety, something's wrong, you can't think clearly, so you don't know what to do.
Yep.
So if you have a list beforehand of things that you can refer to and be like, oh, I can pick that and do that right now, helps when your mind's not clear.
Yes, it's a plan of what am I going to do if sounds very familiar. If this, what will I do?
Yeah. If this happens, then what will I do? Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So because if you're, it's like, okay, my back's bothering me again. I have pain with sitting again. Okay, if you're on a long road trip, you're most likely going to be able to pull over. Then you get out. I'm not saying lay on the floor and do some exercise, but get out and walk around. Most times walking around will help your low back feel a little bit better, loosen up the
Mhm.
stiffness. If you have heated seats in the car and that helps, that's even better.
Yeah.
Um, there's options like, if you're flying and you can put like a little pillow behind your low back and that gives you some support that won't bother your back. So you need to help yourself by coming up with some type of list of things that have helped you in the past and that can help you.
Okay.
And even if it's something as simple as I'm going to take 2 Tylenol or 2 Advil beforehand, because I know that will give me at least 3 hours of flight time and I'll be okay. And then when I get there, if I feel something, I'll have my exercises that my PT gave me and I'll do them if necessary. And then that's a plan. A lot of it comes down to having that plan.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I mean, I've worked with a couple of clients where, obviously I'm not their PT, but like they've
Hmm.
been traveling, so we just brainstorm some ways to help them post
Yeah.
injury. And even things like you said, heating pad,
Hmm.
like compression socks.
Yep.
Um, what else did we talk about? There was something. I'm doing it again, right? Had a thought and then let it go.
Okay. It could be like CBD lotions.
Oh, yes, CBD lotions, but
Yeah.
also like clothing, like what's going to
Hmm.
be easiest for you to move around in and feel the most
Yes.
comfortable, easiest
Yes.
to get on and off.
Hmm. Those things make a big difference too, especially if you have any neck or shoulder issue. You're not going to choose like something where you have to pull up overhead. You're going to try and choose zip
Yeah.
up options, things that buckle in the front. Buckle in the front. It's not a seatbelt. Things that get undo or do during in the front. Those options you have to like because airplanes are cold, airplanes are hot. They fluctuate, so you
Right.
may have to take off your sweatshirt. But if you can't pull it up overhead because you have a shoulder injury, that's not going to make things better for you. There's ways to
Yeah.
set yourself up for success and brainstorming what can help. Like, yeah, maybe before the trip, you throw on some CBD cream on your knee and that'll help. And then maybe while you're sitting there, your knee's feeling stiff. You either get up and walk. If you can't get up and walk, there's not a lot of space, but you can still like
Point or
move your
flex.
knee slightly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like squeeze the muscles, do things like that. Little movements can help. Because once you get blood flow to the area, a lot of things start feeling a little bit better.
Yeah.
And
You could simply just like lift your knee up and down, like lift
exactly.
your thigh up and down.
Yeah.
Um, Also too, like, there's that first row in the plane that you
Yes.
can pay a little bit of extra for, get some
Hmm.
extra leg room in there too. Might
That
be
is
important.
true too.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're one of those people that have like a knee or hip issue and you're gonna need to move around, that may be an option for you. Or even like a low back issue, because then you can at least bend forward and if that seems to help you can like stretch out your low back.
Hmm.
There's ways to travel successfully without having to overthink it because we all tend to do these things where we build it up in our heads so much that
Hmm.
it's gonna be so bad. What if this? What if this? I don't think I can do it. What if I can't walk? Well, do you know yet? You know? Are
Yeah.
you sure you're not gonna be able to walk? Like this
Yeah.
the the whole thing of one vacation is to relax. And you know how many times, countless number of times people went away on vacation. They're like, I'm really worried. And I was like, I'll tell you what, I usually hear when people come back from vacation, they feel so much better than when they were here. And they're like, no,
Right.
I'm dying. And I was like, just trust me. We have a plan set in place. Let's see what happens. And they're on vacation. They come back. They're like, I do feel a little bit better. Well, we know why,
Hmm.
you know,
Yes, definitely.
your nervous
Definitely.
system has finally calmed down.
Yep. Yeah. It all comes back to that nervous system.
That damn thing. It's crazy. It's a
It is,
wonderful
it's
thing.
true though. It's like, I mean, not to get off topic, but I remember one time I was sitting on a GI case and
Mhm.
um the guy that was presenting was saying that he had a client who was not able to get rid of candida, like it would always come back.
Mhm.
The times where he was able to get rid of it were like when he was on vacation or right after a vacation. So his deal with
Seems kind of obvious here, but anyway.
Yeah, so like he was a guy that was working like 24/7, had
Yeah.
trouble taking off. So part of his protocol was actually taking a vacation like 3 times a year. He could do that with
Yeah.
his work schedule and whatnot,
Mhm.
but that was actually part of his protocol to help him heal and help him feel good.
See?
Yeah.
So to branch off of what Amanda's saying in the same context, though, is that nervous system is so heightened all the time when we're working, go, 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 that when you finally give your body time to actually enter the parasympathetic nervous system aspect of it with the rest and digestion part, your body's decompressing. You can process things better. You start to feel better. Now, not saying that's going to cure your symptoms and your pain and all that stuff, but it will feel better. So it's almost like leading up to the vacation is more stressful than actually the vacation itself. Like you may have
Oh,
more pain leading up to it than when you're there because you're so stressed out of what could happen. Well, you don't know what's going to happen. There's nothing you can do about that. And
hmm.
like I said, a lot of times I'll tell people, don't cancel your trip unless there's some reason why, unless you literally say that you do not feel comfortable and there's no way you can go on this trip, then I can't force you to go, obviously. But I try to do my best to present people like, hey, look, we just did this exercise. You can do this seated on the plane. Your pain pretty much went to like 1 out of 10 with this exercise. You can do it on a plane. Why wouldn't you want to go? Because then once you get there, you can walk, you can do all these stuff. You're in a hotel room, you can do some of your exercises in the bed before you go out for the day to make it better. Yeah, I could teach your family member how to do certain techniques we do that may help you. Like there's a plan that can be developed without having to completely, because some people get one vacation a year, let's be honest,
Right.
you know? And to the amount of people I've dealt with that were like, "Well, I don't want to miss my vacation." Well, I'm like, "Okay, well, so let's plan, let's make it
Right.
work."
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I little planning goes a really long way. I
Hmm.
think we could, yeah.
You could do a whole thing on planning. No, um, but it's true. It's that small little aspect of planning can really help you figure out what you're going to do and what you're going to feel.
Yeah, and I think even
And
with the system regulation too, like if you are someone that goes on vacation and you're like, wow, I do feel better, then how can you sprinkle a little vacation into every
yeah,
day?
yes, whatever that may be. Maybe it's literally turning off the lights in like where I'm shooting this. I could literally turn off all the lights, turn everything off. It's pitch black, and I can just literally just sit there in the dark and decompress completely. It's
So you
actually
want to nap.
kind of. I do lay down.
Yeah. Well, it's like I've said this before on like Instagram too, little 5-minute adventures. So like going to a new coffee shop,
Hmm.
calling an old friend, like stepping out for a new walking route,
Yeah.
little mini vacations, quote unquote, like just
Hmm.
things that are out of your normal routine,
Yeah.
because that's why people love vacation so much. It's taking you out of your normal routine, out of your normal worries and anxieties and
Hmm.
stressors, and putting you in this new place. And it helps you see bigger picture,
Hmm.
right? Like you get this broader perspective, you can pull back and recognize that, you've kind of been caught up in your own bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
Which is why people like vacation.
Yeah.
Um,
It gets you out
and
of the norm.
right. So like what if you did that on a daily basis in some smaller ways?
Yes. And to bounce off what you're saying with that is maybe what your vacation consists of. If you were like my family, Leanne's family and I go to Cape Cod every year. I know what it consists of. We're gonna go to the beach. We're gonna ride bikes. We're gonna walk. We're gonna hike. We're gonna do all this fun stuff. We're gonna play mini golf. So if you know you have these little things planned and you're dealing with, let's say, low back pain, why not try some of that stuff that you're gonna do and see how it goes?
Mhm.
So you have a frame of reference of, okay, well, at home I was able to bike for 30 minutes and I didn't feel anything. So maybe you bike for 30 minutes and take a little bit of break when you're on vacation. Maybe, okay, I was able to walk 2 miles. So then let's say you go to a city like Chicago, New York, wherever you're going, and you know you could walk 2 miles. So you walk about 2 miles, find a place that you want to get to destination wise and visit in that 2 mile radius. You go there, have a seat, do whatever you need to do, enjoy, maybe grab some food, maybe that's lunchtime, maybe it's a museum and you want to sit down and like look at some of the artwork, whatever it may be. Then you walk another 2 miles to your next, you know what I mean? It's these little things that you see how you can handle because you can set yourself up for success. You don't have to quote unquote fail vacation because you just we're trying to keep up with everybody.
Yeah, that's part of like asking for what you need and being, making sure that you verbalize that to the people that you're going with.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I think a lot of people are, oh, I don't want to like, be
that guy. Be that person.
That guy, right?
Yeah,
I don't want to be the inconvenience.
Yes.
You're fine. Say what you need.
It's more so, and that's another point there when traveling and you're dealing with an injury is we feel like we're being an inconvenience to people, but it's more of an inconvenience for you not to tell people what you're feeling or what you can and can't do, because then they don't know how you're feeling. And then you get angry at them for not understanding you. And that can already ruin your vacation because now your back is flared up, your knee really hurts. It's only day one, and all you need to do was take a break, but you didn't want to inconvenience people.
Yeah, that right there is gold. I hope everyone listens to that part.
Like, don't think to yourself that you're inconveniencing anybody, because who you're going with already knows you're dealing with something. And surprisingly, people are more accommodating than we like to give them credit for.
Yes,
no one's gonna sit there and be like, "Oh, you're in pain, suck it up."
Yeah.
Like, no.
Unless it's my brother.
Different story. Brothers are weird. We know that. Like, my brother would probably do the same thing. Like, I remember when we take long road trips and I had to pee because I had like a very small bladder as a kid, where I just drank too much water. I don't know, one or the other. He's like, "We're not stopping," and I'm like, "Dude, I gotta go." And he's like, "No, we're not stopping." And I was like, "Come on, I gotta go. I'm gonna wet myself." He's like, "Here's a bottle." I'm like, "I don't want to do that. Let's just pull over real fast." He's like, "No, we're not stopping." I was like, "Come on." So I think maybe it's a brother thing.
Probably.
But if I was actually like in pain and I wasn't just being an annoying like 12-year-old, I'm sure it wouldn't have been. It would have been like he would have pulled over and been accommodating towards that. But it's a little bit different when you're dealing with your brother and something ridiculous like you have to pee all the time.
All right, peeing is not ridiculous. Okay, if I have to pee, I'm gonna pee. I'm not
Good.
holding that. That is not good for my bladder.
Stay smart. Yes, our friend Corinne would agree with that. It's not good.
Yeah. Yes, get Corinne on here. Back me up.
But yeah, so what we're saying though is like you really want to understand that you're not. We feel as though we can inconvenience people because we're like, oh, like I'm in pain and I'm going to stop people from doing things. That's not the case. People are more than happy to accommodate. Like, maybe you wanted to hike, I don't know, Mount Kilimanjaro, and you're probably not the best scenario, but like you want to do that. Oh, okay, maybe we could do half of it. I mean, it's not a good scenario because if you're in type of injury, to get through that is going to be like, that's a work in progress.
No, but I think to wrap it up, you're right. Like, it's just, again, it comes back to preparing. It comes back to asking for what you need and being able to verbalize that. Calming the nervous system down, reminding yourself that, reminding yourself of all of the times you have been successful with something similar. So you did walk and, maybe you weren't on vacation, but you walked 5K steps. So, okay, why can't you do that on vacation? Right. Giving yourself that proof.
No, but you're right.
Yeah. Just planning accordingly and just knowing that there's always a solution. Like there is always a solution. So try not to cancel your vacation and try to figure it out first.
Don't. And there's so many resources. Like I said, if you're dealing with something and you have a PT that you go to, reach out to them, a trainer, whatever it may be, somebody who can help you and give you guidance on what to do just in case things flare up. Because if you develop that plan and they know your body and they know what helps you with your symptoms, they can say, okay, when you're sitting, do these exercises. When you get home, do these ones. They can develop the plan with you. So you're good to go and there's no problem at all.
There you go.
Sneaking up on you. So it's very simple, as we say. But I understand how it can be overwhelming. But
Yeah.
another wonderful conversation, Amanda. Hope everybody does not cancel their travel plans if they're dealing with an ache or pain. If you are struggling with anything, you can always reach out to me, especially with injuries and all that stuff, because it can get frustrating. I understand. But
Absolutely.
don't worry, you'll be okay. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.